Okay, so the reading that you've done this week introduced you to types of style sheets. All of the types of style sheets that were introduced so far are what are considered author style sheets. You've got the inline and the embedded and the linked. And I refer to the linked as external style sheets, and external style sheets, or linked style sheets as your reading called it, are the only thing I want you using in this class. Now, with all of that, you've learned about the anatomy of a CSS rule, and I wanted to take a moment to look at that, and I also wanted to show you how do you create a style sheet within Dreamweaver, so you can, at this point, you can start to actually make things look a certain way. So if we take this file that we were using last week and we go right now, let me just get this back to our default designer layout. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just have design on for right now, design view, and over here you have a CSS Styles panel, and that's where most of the stuff with CSS happens. So I'm going to click New CSS Rule. Now when you do that, the very first time you have a rule, there are no rules here, the very first time that you actually create a rule, you have to create a style sheet. So in this case, I'm going to redefine an HTML tag, and this HTML tag is going to be the body tag, which is the base tag to your document. So we have body, you can see here down the tag inspector, then we have paragraph, and we have anchor. And so I'm going to redefine that tag. Right now there's a white background and this type of font, and I'd like to change a couple of things. So I've told Dreamweaver I want a new CSS rule, I want to redefine a tag, I want it to be a body, and I don't want it to be in this document only. I want it to be something I can use throughout my entire site. So that means I have to put it in an external file. So new style sheet file, click OK, and I need to make sure I'm in my root folder, site files, images, this means I'm in my root folder. And what I do is I name my style sheet main.css. So then I'm going to click Save. And I know I did everything okay when, oh, I can't see it quite yet. Okay, well, I can see over here. All right, I see that I've got main CSS and body, and once we close out of this, we should be able to see that main CSS is showing up in our root folder as well. We'll look for that in a moment. So I am going to change. Now you read, there was a whole bunch of reading about type in your reading from this week. So you're familiar with all sorts of different settings, but where are they in Dreamweaver? Well, a lot of them, if you click this type category over here, a lot of them are here. He talked about font families and font size and the way you can size things. And so let me just show you. I'm going to say this is the font family I want. And for font size, I typically go with pixel based, though with a responsive design, things like that. More and more designers are trending towards using M's, but today we're going to go with just the pixels. Though you can go with M's, and he probably went through measurements with fonts with you. And if you would like to do M's, that is perfectly fine, but I'm going to go with pixels today. My font style, so that's that setting that he talked about. You've got normal, italic, and oblique. I'm going to leave it alone. I don't need to tell it normal because it's normal by default, and I'm not contradicting another style, so I'm going to leave that as is. Line height, now this I have a tendency to use M, so I'm going to say 1.2 M's for line height. Text decoration, there's nothing I'm dealing with here for text decoration. And font weight, I'm not trying to make it bold or anything like that, though when I do use a font weight, it's usually either normal or bold. I don't use the other ones. I'm not doing anything with font variant, and I'm not doing anything with text transform. But all of these things he talked about in his fonts, in the font section. There are probably also a couple other settings, and if you're curious where they are, you want to use something and you want to know where it is in here, I can show you on an individual basis. But these are the main ones you're going to use. Then there's the color for font. Now you can choose any color in here, or you can go and spec out your own font color. So if I open Dreamweaver, my apologies, I said Dreamweaver. If I open Photoshop, and I will just open up a random document here. If I would like, so I have, let's say that I have a layout or a picture. Hold on, let me get a picture open. That'll be even better. So if I take this tennis ball and then I take my eyedropper tool, and the shortcut key for eyedropper is I, and I then if I click anywhere in here, I start to sample the color, which you can see changing over here. And to get my hexadecimal color, if I just double click on my color chip, I can run my eyedropper wherever I want, and maybe I want that to be my font color right there. So I can choose I can get that hexadecimal value, which is the web value that you need. So web colors are in hexadecimal value. I can get that value right here. So I copy that. And I don't know why I'm going in there. And then I can paste that value right here. Now something very important about doing this is that you do have to have your, did that paste? If you do have to have your pound sign before the color. And if I click apply, you can see it accepted the color, and you can see that things are starting to change over here. So we're going to click OK. Now that was redefining an HTML tag. The HTML tag we redefined was body, and we we didn't, hold on, so okay, now I would like to edit my style sheet. So I have this body rule that I've set up. Remember, if you read the anatomy of a style sheet, it talked about the different parts of a rule and all of that. If I double click on this, I'm looking at what my rule is made up of, one way of doing it, a visual side. And I haven't given a background color to my document yet. So I am going to go ahead and just tell it for sure that I actually want white, so that no browser colors are going to get in the way. It's absolutely white. Now if I wanted something else, I would just choose it and click apply, and I've got the color set, but I'm going to go with white. So that's another one that's commonly used, okay? So we now have edited a rule. So that's all you do in CSS to edit a rule, is you just, well, in Dreamweaver, you just double click on it. Now if you would like to get into the code of this, oh, and one thing I wanted to show you, remember how we had to tell Dreamweaver what we were going to name our style sheet, and then I said, you know, it's okay if it shows up in your root folder. Well, now that I've said okay to everything, there it is. There's main, I'm going to close images. There's main CSS. And if I would like to see the code version of my style sheet, it's right here. So these are all the things we set. And if I double click on this, we can compare. We have a font family, a font size, a line height, a color, and a background color, which is under the background area, background color. So this is the exact same information, just in a visual way versus a coded way. Okay. So we have now redefined our first HTML tag. Now we have other tags in here, like if I click around, I can see in my tag inspector that I have a paragraph, and I have links and all of that. So so let's go ahead and let's see, what should we do with the paragraph? I think, well, I'm really happy with everything. Let me leave that for now. I know we're going to style links in a little bit, but let me leave that. If I wanted to style the paragraph, maybe, you know what, I'll give the paragraphs a background color. So if I wanted to do something special with paragraphs for some reason, first I could click inside of a paragraph, click on the P tag, and then click New CSS Rule, and tell Dreamweaver I would like to define a tag. And it says, oh, you've got the P tag selected. So I'm wondering if you want to work with the P paragraph tag. And in this case I do. Now, unlike the very first time you created the first style for this document, for the site, this time around it knows I've got main CSS. So you don't want to choose the document only. You don't want to choose new style sheet file. You want main CSS, the one that you already are working with. You want all of your rules in the same style sheet document. So we're going to click OK. Now this time all I'm going to do to my paragraphs is I'm going to give them a background color, just because we can, and I want you to see that we can affect, oh, we'll just do gray, that we can affect another HTML tag or element. So that's all we'll do for the time being. And we'll click OK. And now all of the things, because this image is in a paragraph as well, everything that's a paragraph currently has a gray background behind it. So in this video so far, you have seen how to define a style. You've seen how to edit it. We double click on it and we get into it. If you would like to remove a style, say we don't like this particular style, we can just delete it like so. Okay, so now you know how to edit, and you know how to delete, and you know how to create a style for an HTML tag.